I thought I was living a dream in a luxury penthouse, until the billionaire trapped me. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden rays over the glittering skyline. I could hear the bustling streets below, a constant hum of life. It felt like magic. I had everything I ever wanted. But beneath the surface, shadows danced. His name was Felix. Tall, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to look straight through me. Our connection was electric. I remember the thrill when he offered me the world, a whirlwind of parties and glamour. Little did I know that beneath his charming smile lay a maze of darkness and secrets. It all started with small things. The way he would watch me, assessing my every move. The locked doors in the penthouse, a constant reminder that some places were off-limits. I filled my days with excitement, friends surrounding me, laughter echoing through the halls. But I often felt a knot of fear in my stomach, an uneasy feeling that always lurked when Felix was around. One night, as the city glimmered below us, I found myself alone, staring at the reflection in the glass. I felt small, trapped in a cage of luxury. My heart raced. Was it all too good to be true? I reached for my phone, fingertips trembling. I wanted to call my sister Zara. I needed someone to pull me back to reality, to tell me everything was fine. But the words caught in my throat. What if I overreacted? What if he really loved me? Then it happened. A whispered conversation I wasn't meant to hear, drifting through the cracked door. Felix's low voice, laced with something sinister that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't make out all the words, but the chilling tone held promises of betrayal. I pressed my ear closer, my breath hitching in my throat. My heart thudded painfully. Just then, a loud crash from outside me heart stopped. I rushed to the window, peering down. A sleek black car had skidded to a halt, tires screeching against the pavement. The driver emerged, a figure wrapped in shadows. Something about him felt wrong, dangerous. I pulled back, breath shallow. Silence enveloped me. The weight of dread settled heavy on my chest. I needed to leave. This luxury penthouse was suddenly a prison, and Felix was no longer the dream I thought he was. An image of Zara flashed in my mind, her wide eyes, filled with concern. Had I ignored the signs too long? Would I ever escape this? I felt dizzy, my hands trembling as I glanced around. The door loomed before me, choice hanging in the air, thick and palpable. I had to decide. Stay, or face the unknown out there. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The decision churned inside me like a storm. I paced the glossy marble floor, glancing back at the doorway, half expecting Felix to appear, his expression unreadable. My chest felt tight, and each step echoed in the silence of the penthouse. I could feel the shadows closing in, every instinct screaming for me to flee, but the world out there seemed just as daunting. The phone buzzed on the table, jolting me from my thoughts. It was a message from Zara. Hey, just wanted to check in. Everything okay? I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen. How could I tell her everything without sounding crazy? The secrets swirling around me felt too heavy to share, yet I longed for her comfort. Instead of replying, I turned to the door. My heart raced, pounding in my ears, as I heard the clinking of glass behind me. Felix entered, a broad smile plastered on his face, as if he had just returned from conquering the world. Hey, beautiful. I've got a surprise for you. The warmth in his voice felt sinister against the chill creeping into my bones. What is it? I managed, trying to keep my tone steady. His eyes sparkled with excitement. Just you wait. I've arranged a private dinner at the rooftop. Just us, with a view of the stars. He stepped closer, but something flared in my chest, a flicker of the old fear. Actually, I was thinking maybe I should go out for a while. Get some fresh air, I stammered, surprising even myself with my sudden boldness. Felix's smile faltered, just for a fraction of a second. But I thought he began, but I interrupted, desperation clawing at my insides that I just need to clear my head. I insisted, firming my resolve. He stepped back, crossing his arms. His expression darkened. You don't need to go anywhere, Ava. You have everything you could ever want right here. Before I could respond, he launched into a vehement defense of this life. He provided a life of comforts and security, but I could only focus on the weight of his words. The walls felt closer, trapping me in this elaborate cage decorated with pretty things that I am not a prisoner. I shot back, my voice sharp. I should be able to leave if I want to. With a flare of anger, Felix turned away, rubbing the back of his neck as silence stretched between us, thick and unyielding. I could see the twisting fire in his posture, and the realization washed over me. He was losing control. That I want to trust you, Felix, I said quietly, my heart pounding. But I need space. Please. For a long moment, he remained still. Then, without a word, he stormed out of the room. I felt a wave of relief alongside a sudden pang of guilt, but it was overshadowed by the dread that loomed. His anger might lead to something worse. What would happen next? Would he try to keep me from leaving? My feet moved almost on instinct toward the door. If I had any chance of regaining control over my life, I needed to search for answers beyond this luxurious trap. I opened the door cautiously, peering into the dim hallway. The uncertainty of my surroundings felt more liberating than I had anticipated. I slipped out, each step pulling me away from the illusion that had seduced me, the walls of the penthouse falling further behind. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding, and I rushed inside, pressing the button for the ground floor. As the door slid closed, I let out a shaky breath. But the sudden buzz of my phone drew my attention again. It was another message, this time from an unknown number. Meet me at the cafe on 8th Street. I have something important to tell you about Felix. My heart raced. Who was this? What could they possibly know? A million thoughts raced through my head as the elevator descended. The street below was filled with life, much like the chaotic hum I had felt earlier. But this time, I was ready to embrace it. As the doors opened, a sense of urgency propelled me forward. I would find this cafe, and whatever the truth was that strangled Felix's secrets would finally emerge. With every step, I felt more empowered, leaping toward the unknown until the realization hit. What if this was a trap too? What if I was walking straight into danger? But the chance to uncover the truth, to know what was really happening in my life, drowned out the fear. I stepped onto the bustling street, the world ablaze with sounds and colors, the air crisp and liberating. Each minute brought me closer to a confrontation I couldn't shy away from. As my heart pounded, and the looming cafe came into view, I realized I was teetering on the brink of a precarious ledge. What awaited me could change everything, potentially saving me or plunging me deeper into darkness. The truth would soon be out there, waiting just beyond the cafe's welcoming doors, and I could only hope it would lead me back to the light. The cafe buzzed with a rhythmic clatter of cups and murmurs, a place where people shared laughter and stories. I stepped inside, the sudden warmth encasing me like a thick blanket. Light poured from vintage lamps, casting a golden hue over wooden tables and mismatched chairs. It felt like a different world, one completely detached from the storm brewing in my life. I scanned the room, searching for a familiarity in the sea of faces. My heart jumped when I spotted a woman sitting alone at the far corner table, her curly hair a cascade of dark waves. She looked up as I approached, her eyes widening, prompting a jolt of recognition. Ava, she said softly, as if testing the name on her tongue. Lena. The name felt heavy, weighted with the promise of untold stories. I sat down, every nerve on edge. What do you know about Felix? She glanced around, assessing the surrounding patrons. It's safer to talk here than elsewhere, she whispered, her voice low but steady. You're in more danger than you realized. My breath caught. What do you mean? Lena leaned closer, her expression tightening with urgency. Felix is not who he says he is. You need to understand what you're involved with. He's not just a businessman. There are things you need to know. Dangerous things. My thoughts raced, the comforting atmosphere of the cafe fading as the gravity of her words sank in. What are you talking about? Is he involved in something illegal? Worse, she replied, gaze darting to the window. He's connected to a criminal syndicate. He deals in far more than just real estate, money laundering, smuggling. I can't go into all the details now, but you have to believe me. A wave of disbelief coursed through me. a stark contrast to the warmth of the cafe. Why should I trust you? Because I used to work for him, she said, emotion flickering in her eyes. I was drawn in by the glitz and glamour, just like you. But once you're in, it becomes impossible to leave without consequences. I managed to escape, but he doesn't forget. You need to find a way out before he pulls you deeper. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I processed her words. Could my life really be that entangled in darkness? How had I been so blind? What do I do? I asked, a tremor edging into my voice. How can I get away from him? Lena hesitated, her eyes darting again to the window, and I followed her gaze. My stomach dropped. Felix stood outside the cafe, his jaw clenched, scanning the crowd with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. It was like being watched by a predator. Quick, Lena urged, her hand on mine. We have to keep moving. If he sees you here, it could get dangerous. I nodded, heart racing as I pushed my chair back. We rose together, slipping through the cafe's narrow exit before Felix could spot me. The moment we stepped outside, I felt a pang of regret. I had willingly opened this Pandora's box. What if I was running toward even worse consequences? Lena led me through the streets, the noise of the cafe fading behind us. You need to find a safe place, she said, her voice urgent. I have an old colleague who might be able to help. But you must be careful that I can't go back. Lena, I said, despair creeping into my voice. If I go back, he will know something is off. We turned down a winding alley, the light fading as we entered a more secluded area. My heart raced, not from the thrill of adventure, but from the weight of what I knew. I was caught in a morass of fear and uncertainty, my life spiraling faster than I could grasp. Lena glanced at me, her expression softened. You have to be strong. You have more power than you realize. Trust your instincts. They will guide you. Power? I feel so helpless, I confessed, desperation seeping through my bravado. You're not helpless. Facing the truth is the first step. Now you know, she insisted, her hand squeezing mine in encouragement. Just then, shouting erupted from the mouth of the alley. Felix's voice rang out, furious, searching. Ava, he called, his tone like ice against my skin. Get back here. Panic seized me, and I pulled Lena further into the dimness of the alley. Every part of me screamed to run, to hide from him, but the rumble of dread grew louder, an impending storm ready to unleash its fury. Quick! We can't let him see us, Lena urged, and we ducked behind a cluster of garbage bins. My heart thudded painfully in my chest, both for the danger looming and the reality of my situation. As his silhouette moved past us, I caught the tension in his shoulders, how his body radiated a fury born from desperation. My pulse quickened. This was a man who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. Do you trust me? Lena asked, her eyes searching mine. I swallowed hard, uncertainty swirling in my gut. I do, I said softly, realizing I had no choice but to place my fate in another person's hands. What happens next will change everything, she warned, just as Felix paused, the echo of his voice threatening to unravel the fragile string of safety we clung to. In that moment, I understood. I wasn't just living in fear of losing my freedom. I was standing at the precipice of something greater, and I could either leap into the unknown or let the abyss consume me whole. My heart raced as I whispered, what will we do? The air hung thick with anticipation, a fragile thread woven between hope and utter devastation as we waited, holding our breath, for what would come next. As I crouched behind the garbage bins, the world beyond narrowed to the frantic rhythm of my heartbeat. Felix's voice echoed like a distant storm, and the weight of his desperation wrapped around me, making it hard to breathe. I could sense Lena's resolve beside me, a beacon of toughness amidst my spiraling fears. My past, filled with enchanting dinners and mesmerizing views from the penthouse, faded under the shadows of this new reality. I had traded authenticity for allure, and now it threatened to swallow me whole. Lena's grip tightened on my hand, a gentle lifeline in the chaos. When he moves on, we need to go. This alley connects to a network of back streets. We can slip away unseen. I nodded, forcing myself to focus. Hope flickered in the corner of my mind, battling the despair that loomed large. What if he finds us? Then we won't let him, she stated, her voice steady and unwavering. There was something profoundly comforting about her confidence, an armor against my spiraling panic. Felix's voice faded into an echo, and with it, seemed to lift some of the fear. He might be moving on, I whispered, ready to unleash the adrenaline coiling in my veins. Now, Lena urged, and we darted from our cover, the chill of the night air hitting me like a wave. We dashed down the alley, each hurried step a prayer for safety. In the half-light, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. There was something about running for my life that ignited dormant parts of me, and defiance began to bloom in the corners of my fear. I was not just a passenger. I was a fighter trying to reclaim my narrative. But as we stumbled into the next street, I noticed the flickering of lights ahead, the dreaded specter of Felix's security vehicle parked at the intersection. The knot in my stomach tightened. He has eyes everywhere, I breathed, panic blooming again like wildflowers in spring. Lena scanned the surroundings, her brow furrowing in thought. We have to take a longer route, through the residential blocks. I was willing to follow her anywhere, for I felt a surge of trust in her. I had just met her, and yet she had stepped into my life like a guardian angel, willing to fight in my corner against an enemy that seemed insurmountable. As we navigated through darker, twisted streets, I caught snippets of life happening around us. A group of children laughed joyfully in a patch of nearby grass, their innocence and playfulness striking against the seriousness of my world. They reminded me of simpler times, of summer evenings lost in the laughter of friends. It felt alien yet comforting, like standing on the precipice of a cliff looking into a deep canyon, where the echoes of the past still lingered. When we finally ducked into an overgrown walkway leading to an apartment complex, Lena halted and turned to me. We're almost there. I promise. Just a little further. Her words soothed my racing heart, yet the weight of uncertainty still loomed. What if your contact doesn't help us? Well, figure it out, she said, but there was a shadow of doubt in her eyes. But losing hope is not an option. Before I could respond, a heavy thud echoed behind us. Felix. The shadows were closing in, creeping closer with every second. I felt panic rush through me as I turned to run with Lena at my side, my legs moving as if they had a mind of their own. Heart pounding, we burst through a side entrance. The heavy double doors creaked as we entered the open lobby of the building. But as we stepped inside, reality hit me like a punch to the gut. The lobby was filled with people, each face a mask of anonymity to me, yet every person could be a potential witness to my shame. Wait here, Lena commanded softly, scanning the room. Let me check if he's close. I nodded, trembling as I pressed myself against a pillar, my eyes darting to the glass doors that led to the street. Suddenly, they swung open, and my heart sank. Felix entered, his imposing figure slicing through the lobby like a blade. The bustling chatter of residents turned to a hushed murmur as everyone took notice. Lena, he's here, I whispered. Urgently, my fears coiling tighter. She rushed back to my side, her eyes wide with fright. We need to move. Just then, Felix spotted us, a predator locking onto its prey. A sinister smile spread across his face, and my blood froze. Ava, there you are. You can't run away from me. My stomach churned, the weight of his words crashing over me. I was trapped in a web I had unwittingly spun. Just then, a hand grasped my wrist, firm yet comforting. I glanced up to see Lena staring into my eyes, determination etched across her face. Go. Find the stairs. They'll hold him off, she shouted. No. I can't leave you. I cried, panic surging through me. Trust me. You have to survive. Just run. She yelled, desperation igniting the air between us. With my heart breaking, I broke from her hold and dashed toward the staircase, the echoes of Felix's voice and Lena's bravery pushing me forward. Each step I took was filled with confusion, fear, and a shred of hope that maybe if I escaped, there would still be a chance to reclaim my life. As I reached the landing, I dared to look back. I caught a glimpse of Felix, the shadow of menace eclipsing my last threads of safety. But as I turned, I bumped into someone waiting at the top of the stairs. Blinking away my shock, recognition struck one of Felix's associates, a man I had seen at the penthouse parties. Hope drained from my veins, replaced by anxiety. Where do you think you're going? He asked, a smirk creeping across his lips. My heart raced as fear clawed at my throat. So this was it. This was how it ended, trapped between those I feared and the hope I was desperate to hold on to. And yet, as I prepared for the inevitable confrontation, a thought struck me. A small ember of defiance flickered within me, and maybe, just maybe, that ember could ignite a fire. With a mix of desperation and courage, I eked out my response. "I'm leaving this nightmare behind, and you can't stop me." His brow shot up with surprise just as the sound of footsteps echoed behind me, a surge of hope mixed with dread as the shadow of my pursuer loomed large. The tangled web of choices spun tighter, and my destiny dangled on the knife's edge, swinging precariously between escape and catastrophe. Just like that, an emotional cliffhanger hung in the air, pregnant with the possibility of despair or redemption. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I stood frozen between the known and the unknown, the weight of desperation thickening the air around me. The figure before me, one of Felix's associates, was a stark reminder of the high-stakes game I'd been thrust into. "I'm leaving this nightmare behind," I repeated, my voice stronger than I felt. I had never envisioned myself as defiant, yet the specter of Felix loomed larger than ever, and I refused to let him dictate my fate any longer. He chuckled, the kind of sound that vibrates with condescension. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" Before I could muster a response, the heavy echo of footsteps behind me stirred my instincts. I had no time to ponder my next move. The escape I had envisioned was folding into chaos as the very walls felt like they were closing in. "Get out of my way," I managed, lifting my chin defiantly. The resolve in my voice replaced some of the tremors of fear, but my heart raced uncontrollably. "Not a chance," he sneered, stepping closer, effectively pinning me between him and the stairwell. Panic crawled up my throat, and my mind was a storm of options: fight, flee, plead. But then, before I could choose, the sound of rushing steps from below interrupted the tension. The man's gaze flickered, revealing a hint of uncertainty as he turned to glance down the staircase. It was a small opening, an opportunity. "Now's my chance," I thought fiercely, surging forward and shouldering him aside with a strength I didn't know I possessed. In that fleeting moment, I burst down the stairs, my heart pounding in a rhythm of rebellion. The world behind me faded into a whirl of chaos, leaving only the raw urgency of survival. As I reached the bottom, the lighting switched from dim to bright, and I emerged into the lobby, breathless and wild-eyed, forcing myself to adapt to the ambient noise of the residents that filled the space. Yet the sense of sanctuary was fleeting. The atmosphere shifted as Felix's presence turned the excitement into dread. He had evidently exited the elevator, his expression darkening upon witnessing my escape. "Ava!" he bellowed, and the shock of vulnerability mixed with the thrill of escape snagged me like a hook. The residents stared, expressions morphing from surprise to concern, and I realized I had become a spectacular fusion of dread and intrigue. I sprinted through the crowd, weaving between startled faces, my thoughts in a frenzy. "I can't let him catch me. I want go back." As I reached the exit, a friendly face stepped into my path. It was a woman who lived in the building. A sad smile graced her face, the kind that hinted at knowing more than she let on. "Ava, dear, you need to be careful," she said, her voice low and conspiratorial, yet vibrant with empathy. "Please, you have to help me," I blurted, my plea tinged with desperation as Felix's imposing figure darkened the entrance behind me. The woman's gaze flicked toward him, and then back to me, her eyes glinting with understanding. "There's a back way through the lobby store. You can slip past him," she murmured, gesturing discreetly to my right. "Thank you," I exclaimed, feeling gratitude swell inside me like a buoy amidst turbulent waters. I took off toward the store, determined to put distance between myself and the oppressive specter of Felix. As I entered the small shop, an uncanny sense of safety enveloped me, even as I could still hear the distant bellow of Felix demanding my return. It was a bittersweet silence, one that filled my heart with fresh fears about what would happen if I did escape this time. "Everything all right, miss?" The store clerk, an elderly man with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor, glanced up at me, noticing my panic. His warmth was a soothing balm against my frayed edges. "Not yet, but I'm working on it," I replied, forcing a semblance of calm that belied the storm within. He nodded slightly, as if understanding the unspoken turmoil, and offered me a small bag of candy from the counter. "Take this. You'll need some strength." It was a simple gesture, yet it sparked a flicker of kindness in the chaos of everything. I accepted it, grateful for a brief moment of normalcy amidst this surreal existence. Then, without warning, the glass door swung open behind me, and Felix stepped into the store, his eyes scanning for me with an intensity that startled the air. I felt my heart drop. The sanctuary I thought I had found was about to collapse. "Where is she?" he demanded, ferocity lacing his voice. I stood paralyzed, my body betrayed by fear as the clerk shifted uncomfortably beside me. I had a choice to make, a moment to seize, to either hide or confront. My instincts screamed at me to run, but the kindness from the store clerk echoed in my mind and ignited something deeper, a resolve I hadn't possessed before. So this was it. I stepped forward boldly, all at once empowered by the people who had unknowingly connected their fates to mine. "I won't go back with you." My voice tremored, but it echoed like a rallying cry, shaking off the remnants of hopelessness. Felix's expression morphed from anger to something darker, sharper. "You really think you can just walk away?" A chill crept down my spine, and before I could anticipate his next move, he lunged forward, furious and determined. The world around me seemed to blur, and in that instant, I understood this battle was about to reach a new intensity. The stakes had never been higher, and as the emotions swirled, I recognized that hope often intermingles with fear, crafting stories of resilience from threads of despair. Just as the confrontation threatened to break free from the confines of this store, I felt the mounting pressure of an impending decision. Would I fight one last time, or let the darkness consume me? I could hear the chaos brewing beyond the threshold, and with a final surge of courage, I prepared for whatever storm would come, knowing that I was done waiting for rescue. A new chapter awaited, whether I was ready or not. The moment Felix lunged towards me, time warped, stretching every heartbeat into an eternity. I ducked instinctively, narrowly avoiding the grasp of his outstretched hand,